Hello and welcome to the program Sula's Big Adventures with me, Sula. This episode is about building a home observatory. My home observatory was finished just this week, so I thought I'd share with y'all some tips, some things to think about that maybe you haven't thought about before if you're considering building a home observatory. Then I'll show you how I built mine, and then I'll give you a tour. Why a home observatory when I have this nice driveway? Well, it's not to stay warm. If you warm your observatory, you'll have heat plumes, as discussed in my video about observing the planets. Your telescope has to be the same temperature as the ambient air, or you'll have heat plumes and it will distort your image. No, that's not why. The reason most people would like to have a home observatory is because it gives your telescope a permanent home and you don't have to set it up and take it down every time you want to use it, and that will increase the amount of time that you'll use your telescope. My reason is that this winter it was extremely cold. It was -20 Fahrenheit and it didn't get above 0 degrees Fahrenheit for a whole week, and I worried about my equipment, but also I didn't take out my 6-inch refractor the whole winter because I was afraid I would drop it trying to pick it up wearing gloves so as not to get frostbite, and also I was afraid of slipping on ice in the driveway. So I would like to have one because I would like to have a permanent home for my 6-inch refractor. And also I won't have to polar align it every single time I use it, because if you move it, you have to repolar align. So those are my reasons. But let me give you some advice if you're thinking about building a home observatory. The number one most important thing for you to do is to check your local laws, because you may not be able to legally build an observatory on your property. So check your local laws and find out if there are any restrictions on that. Here in Montana, there aren't many restrictions on anything. It's pretty much do whatever you want state. And so I don't think there are any restrictions here on it. I saw a fabulous observatory out by the Yellowstone River the other day. It was huge. It was enormous, and it was on private property, so it's a private observatory. I started thinking about the observatory in January, and this area where I live is undergoing tremendous development, and there is a lot of construction going on, so it's very hard to find somebody to do things for you. So in January, I started calling contractors to help me because I can't do it myself, and out of 10, one called me back, and so that's who I ended up hiring. And it took him till April to come out and give me an estimate. And I accepted his estimate, and he was supposed to start digging. He has to dig to pour a foundation for my observatory. And he said he was going to come in June, and it's August, and he hasn't started. And it needs to be poured because they're going to be delivering or shipping the observatory August 31st. So I'm going to record this whole process. Right now I have nothing to show you but the place I've picked out. But I just wanted to talk about some other tips. Check your local laws would be number one. Number two is really think about what kind of observatory you want. If you want a classic dome, you can buy a fabricated one from Home Dome. They go by Technical Innovations, and they will ship it to you in parts. It's made out of fiberglass, and then you have to assemble it. Then you have to pour a foundation to put it on. Or you can get a pod that rolls back halfway. It's made by Sky Shed, a guy in Canada. Or you can build your own. But if you build your own, you have to think about the space. And if you're going to have a roll-off roof, it's going to take a lot more space, so you'll have a bigger footprint, so you need a bigger area to put it in. And if you're going to build it yourself, you should get some advice check with people in your local astronomy club to see if someone in the club has built an observatory and can give you some tips. And I would highly recommend that you read this book, Building a Small Observatory, by Charles Innes, and he's in the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada, and he's done extensive research on people who have built observatories for their homes. And you can learn a lot from this book, and I would strongly recommend that you read this book before getting started to give you some ideas about what kind you want and if it's even feasible. So let me show you the place that I've picked out to put my observatory. So this is the area. The pad will be 12 feet by 12 feet because I'm going to get a 10-foot dome from Home Dome. And I picked this because I think it will give me the most expansive view of the sky. I did have to cut down some trees first because I need to see Polaris. And I should have cut down that lodgepole pine at that time. He told me to, and I said, no, it's the only lodgepole pine I have, and that was the tree that fell on my house. So if you ever hire an arborist and they suggest that you cut down a tree, cut it down. Anyway, this is the area, and it's close enough to the driveway so that if there's a lot of snow, I can still make it up here. It has a good view of the sky all around. I'm kind of blocked to the east, but most of the interesting stuff is in the south, and I have a great view to the south. Jeremiah needs to get out here and start digging and pour that foundation. It's August. There goes the first scoop. Woohoo! Wow, that's a big hole. They said they had to dig deep to hit solid ground. Well, it's day 2 of the digging, and there were issues, which is to be expected with any project, but particularly in Montana. He was out here right at 8 a.m. and was digging, but it looks exactly like it did yesterday, but that's because the rubber tire came off twice. So we'll see if this thing gets finished before the snows come again. Okay, here's an update on my home observatory. As you can see, it was delivered. That's it in that crate. It's a 10-foot dome. I ordered from Home Dome, and it's been here since I think September the 4th. Nothing else has happened other than that. Because after digging for 2 days, George, the excavator, said that he had to stop because he had hit bentonite, and bentonite's clay, and it can swell up to 6 times its size if it has water in it. And so the contractor insisted I had to hire a structural engineer and a soil engineer. The structural engineer was very busy putting plans together for this very fancy foundation, and I said, well, how can you do that when we don't know what the soil is? I thought the point was we needed to find a soil survey. So the soil guy did come out here, and today, finally, today is October the 10th. They stopped digging August 25th. He said, oh, it's clay with some granular structure, and so you just need to make sure it's well drained behind there, and just remove the topsoil and put gravel in the hole. Well, that was the original proposal that the contractor gave me way back in April, but he claimed today that Romer would be out here this week. There's only Thursday and Friday left in this week to put gravel in the hole, and then he claims that they'll start working on the foundation next week, and it just happens to be drought conditions, and it's just a miracle it hasn't started snowing, but it's windy today, and it's only a matter of time before it starts snowing. And I said, you need to finish this project before it starts snowing. Well, look at that, a miracle happened. George, the excavator, showed up today, October the 14th or 15th. It's a Saturday. They must have known I was hopping mad yesterday. Next, just pour the concrete. Wow, I'm shocked. The cement people showed up today to pour the cement for the observatory. It was snowing this morning, so I didn't think they were coming, but unfortunately, I'm about to head to the airport, so I'm going to miss the whole thing. Oh well. Welcome to Sula's Observatory. This is a 10-foot fiberglass dome. I bought it from Home Dome, a company out of Florida that sells 8, 10, and 15-foot domes that they'll ship to you in a crate, and you have to assemble it. I got the 10-foot dome. I really wanted the 15-foot dome because it's a little bit cramped in here, but it was too expensive. So I got the 10-foot, but it holds my 6-inch refractor and my EQ6R Pro mount, so it's good enough. And so let me show you inside. One thing about home observatories that's different from your home is that it may not be waterproof. So be sure that you look for any small holes and caulk them, and make sure you put sealant around the bottom. I think that Home Dome is only selling these things to people in Florida or Arizona where it doesn't snow. Here I live at 6,200 feet and it snows a lot, and when the snow melts it gets down around the base, so you got to seal it really well so no water intrudes inside. And secondly, no, you cannot heat your home observatory. Every friend I've told I built a home observatory has said, "Are you warm now?" And the answer is no, I'm still cold. You cannot heat your home observatory. It'll cause heat plumes that go up out of the opening and distort the view through your telescope. So I bought this extra heavy-duty telescope cover. It's much thicker than those normal dust covers you might put on your telescope. This is an all-weather cover, just in case any water intrudes in here. This will supposedly protect your telescope from all the elements. And it is very thick, and it costs a lot more than the other ones. And so I think it's worked pretty well so far. But I'm going to take it off now and show you my telescope inside the home observatory. I'll be back in a minute. Over here I've put a little table for your star charts, your books, laptop, and the hand controller. I bought the electronic version of this dome, and this hand controller will open and close the shutter and rotate the dome. And they also send you this USB flash drive with the ASCOM drivers on it, and you download it to your laptop. And I think you can get those drivers on the internet, but if you download the ASCOM driver, you can rotate the dome and move your telescope in tandem, which is pretty nice. But since they just finished this, I have just been using the hand controller to open and close the shutter and rotate the dome. And it's connected to this electronic box, and to connect that to your laptop, it comes with RS-232 serial cable, which is an antiquated way of connecting. I don't know any modern laptop that has that kind of connection, so I had to buy an adapter to connect the control box to the laptop. It's a serial cable to USB adapter. To me, it's just one more connection that can go wrong, because there's a lot going on in here that could go wrong. But that's what you have to use, because I don't think Jerry has any intention of upgrading it anytime soon. So now I can show you how the dome rotates. So I'm going to use the hand controller and show you that. Just 1 second. Here's my 6-inch refractor on my EQ6R Pro mount. It's on a pier and a mount adapter that I bought from Primaloosa Labs. And I know some people bury the pier before they pour the concrete foundation, but I just bolted mine to the top of the concrete after precisely lining it up with the North Celestial Pole, of course. And I put this rug pad down to at least keep my little toesy woesy wosies warm, and it's worked pretty well. Makes a lot of noises when it's rotating. It's kind of scary. A lot of noises when it's rotating. So if you're thinking about getting a home observatory from Home Dome, a couple of things. If you go to their website, it says, easy to install, anyone can do it. We provide instruction manuals and videos on how to install it, and it's easy. No, it's not easy. My contractor had a hard time putting this thing together, even putting the rings together. They have to be perfectly round or it won't rotate. And it required electricity. Electricity had to be run out here. I don't know how to run electricity to a light bulb, much less an observatory. No way could I have done this myself. And string these cables up that operate the shutter? No way. My advice to you would be to hire a professional, and preferably a contractor with some knowledge about astronomy. I know that's asking a lot. I've had people ask me the strangest questions. Is that a water tank? And is that for observing birds? And can I look in your planetarium when it's finished? And what do you look at? I never know how to answer that one, but go to your astronomy club and ask around and see if somebody has experience putting one of these things together, because it's not easy. And secondly, when I was preparing for installation, I called Jerry up, the owner, and I said, Jerry, will a 12-foot by 12-foot pad be big enough for a 10-foot dome? And he said, sure. Well, Jerry's in Florida, and Jerry's mostly concerned about hurricanes. I'm not worried about hurricanes. We don't have hurricanes in Montana. We have snow. And snow gets on the top of this dome, and I have to go around the perimeter and knock it off, because you can't open the shutter if it has snow on it. And I didn't leave enough room around the perimeter to knock the snow off. And secondly, I didn't leave any room to potentially add a warming hut on the outside if I ever want to do that. I kind of doubt I want to go through the headache of looking for a contractor in this place. But I wish I'd made the pad a little bit bigger than 12 by 12. But other than that, I'm very happy. I like it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to use it some more when it clears up. So, I'll see you soon. Until then, dark skies forever. Sula, signing off.